Hello, this is Aaron from Lo-Fi and D.I.Y. This is a part two to showcasing my post-legacy Impossible all the way through um, Polaroid originals, Polaroid, and then finally the I-2. So from the I-1 to the I-2. Here is the I-1, and we're going to talk about that in depth today. Of course, you can kind of see a range of my cameras here in my collection. Okay. That takes you all the way through to I-2. Now, these are all post-legacy, and what I mean by post-legacy is when Polaroid um, shut down temporarily. Before that, they were just nothing but a branding exercise. So they had their heyday, and then they became a brand name and nothing more, run by a bunch of lawyers, where they would put their name on just about any kind of product. Okay. Today we're going to talk about the the I-1 a little bit, though. The I-1 is the first part of my collection of these cameras. I did not include the Instant Lab, the very first Instant Lab, which came out, I believe, in 2013, because I don't have one for my collection yet. But actually, the Instant Lab would have been a great place to start. The only problem, of course, is like with a lot of these cameras, since they were iPhone tethered, oftentimes Android options weren't really all that readily available. This is the I-1, and the I-1 was actually designed, the aesthetic was designed by Teenage Engineering. If you're familiar with their synthesizers, they make incredible little pocket operator synthesizers. They make probably 20 different versions of that and several other synth related things. And they created the design for this. The aesthetic, I absolutely love the aesthetic of it. It has, I'll take you on a quick tour. There's a flash on off option right here. The most aesthetically interesting part, of course, is this ring flash right here, which also gives you indications of how many packs of film, I'm sorry, how many shots of film are left, how low the battery is, that sort of thing, whether or not it's tethered to the Bluetooth, that sort of thing. Okay, this right here is the Viewfinder. Now, for whatever reason, they created the Viewfinder to be removable by magnet. Clever, but I don't know why everything's so dusty right now. Clever, but I really don't know its purpose, other than it's kind of a neat thing. This is all metal and glass, the Viewfinder part of it, whereas everything else is pretty much plastic. The Viewfinder, though aesthetically it is appealing, it was a pain in the butt to line up and actually get your shot in any real kind of way. My first product that I started selling with Lo-Fi that I made was to combat that difficulty. And actually, I think I have an example here. Let's see. I created an actual viewfinder with a snoot that was off of another Polaroid camera of the past. And so basically you attach this viewfinder to it, and you have a real viewfinder that really points your eye in the direction, and you can see quite clearly. It even has a marking for close-up in it. So that was my adaptation to get rid of that problem of how really hard the viewfinder was to work with. The camera itself has lots and lots of features. It can be shot as a point and shoot. If you want to shoot it as a point and shoot, see these lines right here, you just simply line up the lines, okay, and basically you're ready to shoot right now, okay. Set the flash to on or off, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward, okay. It actually has 5 lenses inside of it. You can even see in this angle right here. This is really kind of cool. The gears and the lenses right there. It has 5 lenses. Actually, maybe if I do this, it'll kind of, it's not moving for me. Too close, I think. Nope, we don't get to see it this way. Anyway, the lenses actually adapt to the distance. There's an focus, it's an focus in there, and the lenses adapt to the Spectra camera, which had a 5 lens, I think it was a 5 lens, quintic. They called it quintic lenses, and it's basically just where different lenses are swapped behind the main lens to give you different distances. So it's not a continual focus, okay, but it is an autofocus. To give you an idea of how advanced that was for its time, or not for its time, how advanced it was compared to other options later on. All of the Polaroid now cameras only have a 2 lens autofocus. Okay, so this had 5, including a macro, so it's quite nice that way. Some other possibilities here, you turn it this way, you can see there's going to be a blue light pulsing, hopefully. Let's see. Can we see it? Oh, I'm sorry, the other way. Blue light pulsing. There we go. I don't know. Yeah, we can kind of see that. The blue light pulsing, that means it's basically looking for Bluetooth connection to your phone. And when you actually have it hooked up to your phone, it actually, you can use all these manual features. It's lots and lots of options. I can tell you personally, I found that the phone tethering thing was frustrating, and that was really a difficult part for me, because basically if you're shooting with a camera and you want to shoot manual, and you're not shooting on a tripod, then wrestling with a phone app in the cold, which, you know, 50% of the time in Ohio it's cold, so you're wrestling with a phone app in the cold, you're shooting, and you're trying to hold the phone, you're trying to hold the camera, maybe wrestling with the pack of film, etc., etc. It gets just really frustrating. Also, by the way, it has a built-in lithium-ion battery that you charge by USB, micro USB back then. And I'm just going to show you this because right now, see how it actually went, the lights went around here. Let's see, do it again. Lights went around here. Now the lights, if you're fully charged, go all the way around to the top. So all the way around. This is as far as I can get this camera to charge now. Okay, and I actually have a few of these, probably 2 or 3 other ones where the battery's gone completely dead, and I've tried different ways to get around it. I have not been able to figure out how to get the battery back on board. So they're basically, they're bricks. There's nothing you can do about it. And that, by the way, is a tendency in all of these new Polaroid / Impossible Impossible Project cameras. And quite honestly, that part is terrible. I love these new products, but I tell you, that one thing, I've been begging since day one for them to actually fix that. And they have not fixed that, including for their $500 flagship camera right there. I mean, not flagship, their $500 camera right there. They still haven't gotten around to that one thing, and I really, really wish they would have done that. It would have been so easy for them to create a removable battery like Nikon and all other professional cameras have nowadays. All DSLRs have, or almost, I think pretty much almost all DSLRs have it. So the one thing I can say about the this new generation of camera that's different than legacy Polaroid is legacy Polaroid, because the battery was in the pack itself, that camera's going to last forever and you're going to be able to shoot it forever. Every single camera in my collection, I'm pretty sure at this point, every single camera in my collection, and I have hundreds of cameras from legacy Polaroid, still works, because basically it's not tethered to some integral battery like a cheap cell phone. Okay. It has a nice little strap here, you can see. It's really pared down to exactly the amount of space you would need, which, again, nod to teenage engineering. That is a really nice part of it. They did some really nice engineering there. But, again, because there's so many features in this thing that are just locked away, that has been very difficult for me to swallow, and it was a frustrating thing, especially after my first few cold days of shooting, trying to juggle everything. I thought that was pretty frustrating. I did come up with another option, of course. It's not really a practical option. It was more like a nod to how frustrated I was more than anything. I basically added a Prontor lens to the front of a completely gutted Impossible so it could be manual. So here you see it. Later, somebody pointed out to me that I would have been much better served, instead of using this tape to create a focus and having multiple lenses that I can put on top of that. I would have been much better served if I'd used something like the early Kodak lenses that actually have the built-in focusing. That would have been nice. But as you can see, this is just a simple, instead of the one button, this is just simply eject. That's what that's for, just to eject. And as you can imagine, it uses regular batteries. Very primitive, I know, but basically I was kind of making a nod to what I wish they had done. Of course, they could have done it much more elegantly, of course, but making a nod to that, because I think hiding away all those features was a disservice. I can struggle with the rangefinder. I can struggle with a lot of things, but holding a cell phone. Oh, and there was one other aspect to the cell phone that was pretty frustrating. And the aspect of the cell phone that was frustrating is I actually, because I'm an Android user, I don't use iPhone, because I'm an Android user, I actually went and bought different phones. Many, I think I went through 3, maybe, different phones, trying to get the right phone that this thing could tether to that was Android and work. And when I would call Polaroid and they would say, yes, it's supposed to work for that, I would say, well, this feature, that feature, parts of it just don't work. They would be like, well, you need to try the next one up. So meanwhile, I'm blasting through all these ridiculous, like Android Kit Kat and all these other crazy things just to try to get this camera to work. So pretty frustrating with that. One thing I can say now, though, their software for every single one of their cameras, including their lab over there, just works fine. I mean, it just works with Android. So I don't know what it was in the beginning, but they just didn't seem to have, maybe they didn't have the staffing or whatever, to develop for Android the way they did for iPhone, because they just couldn't get it together in the beginning. But I have been shooting a little bit with this recently. Again, I have to charge it up, and it only charges to about halfway, maybe a little bit more than halfway. Does not charge fully. And other than the other than the flash, which, by the way, the flash does not function well when it's low battery, when it's below half. So, the flash is not great. So I'm always turning this up to fuller exposure, and shooting manually where I can adjust for the fact that the flash doesn't work as well when it's low battery. Uh, I'm enjoying shooting with this again, even though, again, I find that some of the stuff is still very cumbersome. But it was overall a brilliant idea, and it was definitely brilliant for the fact that it was the first, I believe, the first instant camera made for I-type, or not really 600, I-type film or 600 film in many, many years. So hats off to Impossible Project for pulling off something that was pretty crazy, but I still do like the camera. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you watch the remainder of the videos I'm going to make on this series, and like and subscribe. That'd be great. Thanks.